Manchester United midfielder Fred opens up on the strange Manchester United managerial situation in response to Roy Keane's criticism. And at last, finally, we see a Man United player come out and talk about the weird structure at Manchester United, the weird goings on at the football club. And this is brilliant news. And we've seen a real shift in the last 5 to 7 days that I want to see continue. Now, what I need you to do right now is, of course, leave your comments below. Once you've gone through what Fred has said, once you've listened to what we've said here on the Terrace today, make sure that like button is being smashed. It's another morning edition, afternoon edition, or evening edition, I suppose, wherever you are around the world. Smash that like and share button. Let's do it. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Now, Fred has spoke very candidly in an interview that he has given to TNT Sport, a Brazilian network, where he said that it's strange for Man United to have an interim manager and a little bit bad that they are not working under a permanent coach. Now, let me just say from the off, this is not a dig at Ralf Rangnick. This is not attacking Ralph's system, his style, his management, his personality, his ability, his name, his credentials, his history, his CV. He goes on to say that it's a bit strange working under the interim choice. I know in football, it's important to get good results as soon as possible. But there also it's important to have a long-term plan. That's what's been said by Fred. And I think what's really important to focus on here is that this is slamming, this is focusing on the owners of the football club. He goes on to state here, and I'll put this up on the screen so you can read it as well. He said, I think it's a little bit bad for us. He says here that I think it's a little bit bad for us to not have one. At the moment, it's all about the short-term goals. We don't know how it's going to be after the end of the season. And it's so important that a player has come out and said this. It's so important that somebody has called this out for what it is. And the reason I say that is because Manchester United are in this situation where for the past 9 years, short-term thinking, short-term vision has led to our downfall. We have this habit of fans of blaming right now Scott McTominay, McFred, dead in midfield. Maguire's an overrated centre-back. Rashford's been found out. Ronaldo's over the hill. Blah, blah, blah. We heard this with Moyes' squad. Rooney's past it. Rio's over the hill. Why is Fellaini still at the club? What's Tom Cleverley and Danny Welbeck and Chicharito still doing here? We moved into LVG's tenure. Memphis should focus on rapping. He ain't good enough. Adnan Januzaj was a sort of one-season wonder for us. Van Persie's too injury-prone. He's got to go. Why is Rooney still here? Why is Fellaini still here? How the hell have we got Paddy McNair at the back? This is a disgrace. We moved on to Jose Mourinho. Zlatan, first year, brilliant. People moan that slows the play down. No long-term thinking. He isn't good enough. Pogba's going to be the man. We signed the best creator coming out of the Bundesliga in Henrik Mkhitaryan. Matic comes in. That's what we needed, a proper midfielder. Within a few months, Scott McTominay is playing centre-back. Scott McTominay playing centre-back for Manchester United. The club refusing to give him who he wants. Fans berating again. Why is Rooney still here? Why is Fellaini still here? We've gone from Moyes to LVG to Jose. We've got this horrible tasting cocktail, this hybrid of squads, systems, styles. Where's the long-term thinking? We move into the Solskjaer era, and a lot of us get dragged into this rebuild. A lot of us get dragged into thinking it's going to happen because the club is telling us it's going to happen. And we're now starting the beginning of a new one. This cycle was continued for 9 years, and it's about time the players started to speak up. And the one thing I'll say is this. I still believe that certain players have leaked information out of the football club, either directly or indirectly through their associates' representation. I believe that to be true. I kind of like how the players are coming out and denying it. And I hope what they've actually done behind the scenes, what I think they've done behind the scenes is, listen, guys, we've got to buck our ideas up. We're losing on the pitch. We're losing the PR battle. We almost need to go. We know what we've been doing. We now need to create a united front and a siege mentality and go, let's draw a line under it. No more leaks, no more issues. Let's almost have a bonding session, get back on and deliver on the football pitch because it isn't working. I believe that's more the truth than anything else. Of course, what helps them is they probably saw 3 or 4 stories in the media that were false or were overly dramatized that they could turn around and go, right, let's focus on these 2 or 3 stories that we know aren't true. We'll use them as our case in point to say nothing's leaking out the club. There are no problems behind the scenes. And we'll use it as a way of drawing a line. Fans are fickle. They want it to be positive. They'll believe us. But they have to deliver. Now what we seem to be seeing is this case of we need long-term planning at the club. We need to know what manager and what style of football will last beyond the next manager. It's so great to see Fred come out and do this, who we know is, it's been pretty good in the games that he's played under Rangnick, to be fair. And I'm surprised he hasn't had a bit more game time. But it's about time the club were focused on. The long-term plan was focused on. And I go back to what I was saying a few minutes ago. Fans have got to get out of this notion of focusing on low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is very, very dangerous for any strategy that you have. Very, very dangerous indeed. Because it almost becomes the main focus. And you have to think long-term when you're trying to build something to create sustained success. The way Man United operate is like every season and every managerial appointment is a going out of sell. We're going out of business. We've got to sell everything now. It's coming to an end. At the end of May, that's it. Football ceases to exist. That's how we operate. Where actually, in an idealistic world, in 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years' time, the club's still going to be here. You and I watching may not be, but the club lives on, as deep as that sounds. Long-term planning, long-term strategy, long-term visions are needed, or at the very least, medium term. At the very least, medium-term strategies are needed by Manchester United Football Club. And it's great to see Fred call that out without being rude, without being disrespectful. And he's right. When Ralph was appointed, I was kind of happy. Go back to my videos, though. Didn't really want an interim. I felt we should have broke the bank to bring in the manager the club wants. More the point, bring in the manager that Ralph thinks is going to be right. Now, there could be some mileage in this by giving Ralph time to learn about these players and how quickly, what's the best style of football we can get out of this group. Of course, by adding additional players to it, and therefore who is the best manager. However, that's got to suit the long-term visions of the club. Having him come in there now probably helps. It probably helps to him to consult with the new manager and say, listen, I do think these 5, 6 have got to go. I think these 3 or 4 should be your centerpieces. These are lists of players we put together. Let's look at your list. Let's look at your feedback on this workout strategy. That could all work for us. But I would have still preferred Man United to pay whatever was required to bring in Ten Hag in November, December. If they're set, if they're hell-bent on Pochettino, should have gone and got him. Break the bank. Make a manager an offer they just cannot refuse to bring them in. That would have been my idealistic approach. Didn't happen, though. I am 100% behind Ralph. And one of the secondary best pieces of news to come out of the football club comes from Sam Pilger, a very, very reliable journalist, that Manchester United will not be offering the permanent job in any capacity to Ralph Rangnick. And I think I tweeted about it yesterday, and it kind of triggered a fair few Man United fans. Quite a few seem to get a little bit angry with me saying it. But if I'm being honest with you, I stand by it. I stand by it 110% because from my point of view, he should never be the permanent Manchester United manager. He isn't at that level as a manager. I don't even mean that disrespectfully. He just isn't. He isn't that level of manager. What he is a very, very good and a very, very talented director of football. That's where we should be utilizing him in the long term. So, two very good pieces of news to come out of Manchester United in the past 24 hours. Fred calling out the structure, the culture, the planning of the football club. Ralph Rangnick will not be offered the permanent managerial role. The irony is, somebody said, well, what if I saw someone say, yeah, but what if our number one target isn't available this summer? Then they'll extend his interim period. I do not believe they're going to offer Ralph a 3, a 4, a 5-year permanent manager deal. I would be exceedingly shocked if they did that. Exceedingly shocked. Utilize him where he is best in class. Bring in a manager best available in class to the club. Have a coherent, short, medium, and long-term plan where a specific style of player is needed, a specific mentality of player is needed to create a very conducive environment. Set the standards out early. This is what we expect in training. This is what we expect on match days. Of course you can lose. Of course you can draw. Of course you can have bad days. Your reaction and attitude towards that, though, is what you will be judged on. You as a player are not bigger than the management team, and the management team and the players are not bigger than the football club's goals and culture. The club's goals and culture and the structure that surrounds it is paramount. That comes first before everybody else at the club. And I'm telling you now, if Manchester United do this, if Manchester United create this, they will be back. And a lot of you are going, oh, you're saying you're back. You've got to build it first. If we start listening to Ralph, if football people start making football decisions, if everything from our academy to our recruitment, to our first team, to our backup teams, if everybody is playing the same philosophy of football, the type of player we're trying to sign meets that, and we have a long-term approach that transcends and goes beyond the next manager, Man United, with the money they spend, will be back. And when I say back, I mean back to the very least competing. Every single well-run football club that has money competes. Pure, unadulterated facts.